Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, a big move for medical and academic health care in Arizona. We'll hear about a new memorial to the state's own Renaissance man, Ernest McFarland, and we'll see how harp music is helping the healing process. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The governor and the state's schools chief are not getting along, and the fight could wind up in court. Yesterday, Superintendent of Public Instruction Diane Douglas fired the director and the assistant director at the State Board of Education. Today, Governor Doug Ducey reversed the firings, saying that Douglas acted illegally. Douglas shot back with a press release saying that, quote, Governor Ducey apparently views himself as both governor and superintendent of schools. Douglas goes on to say that she's within her legal rights to fire the two officials. A former attorney general and state schools chief both disagree.
The State Board of Education, of which the superintendent is only one member, is responsible for their own executive director. So a decision to fire the executive director would be made by the board as a whole and not by the state superintendent of schools.
Any elected official or appointed official only has the powers the public gives you. So nobody got fired. She attempted to fire some people, and she doesn't have that power.
In her press release, Douglas says that Governor Ducey has, quote, refused to take calls or meetings with me personally since his swearing in, and clearly has established a shadow faction of charter school operators and former state superintendents who support Common Core and moving funds from traditional public schools to charter schools. Douglas ran on a platform of getting rid of the Common Core education standards. We will have much more on this story tomorrow on the Journalists Roundtable. The Arizona Board of Regents recently gave formal approval to the merger agreement between Phoenix-based Banner Health and the University of Arizona Health Network. It's a $1 billion plus deal that creates the state's largest private employer. Supporters say that the merger promises to change the face of academic medicine and healthcare in the Southwest. Joining us now is Banner Health CEO Peter Fine. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
What exactly did the Board of Regents approve?
Well, the Board of Regents approved a couple of things. One, they approved the ability for us to eventually acquire the land under the facilities that the University of Arizona Health Network occupy, and approved a 30-year academic affiliation agreement with the University of Arizona's medical schools.
And this basically now gets Banner into the Tucson area, correct?
That's correct. And that will occur through our acquisition of the University of Arizona Health Network. That corporate entity had its own board of directors. It was a separate 501c3 non-for-profit organization. So we are acquiring that organization and its assets and have separate agreements with the University of Arizona for its academic affiliation and a separate agreement with the Board of Regents for the land.
You're also acquiring, I would imagine, the UAA Health Network's debt, because I know they had some problems along the line.
They did have some debt, and that was part of the acquisition and the price for the acquisition.
And that was, what, like a couple $100 million
Yes.
in long-term debt there? Why
Yes.
did they run up that kind of debt? Do we know?
Well, you know, you ring up debt over years because you're investing into your facilities. You're borrowing money at non-for-profit rates, and which tend to be very favorable to invest into the business and invest into the facilities, which they have done over a number of years.
So that's taken over now, and that's taken care of by
Yes.
Banner. So, and Banner, it sounds like between the two, Banner kind of focuses on patient care, whereas the U of A kind of focuses on academic issues and research. And now those are combined?
And those are coming together. So the University of Arizona and its medical schools will stay a separate entity as they are today. And there is a long-term affiliation agreement between the two organizations for us to work together on all things related to the academic environment, including training, including research, and including patient care.
Give us an example of how that would work, because I know that was a big deal as far as the agreement is concerned. With training, I know a lot of money is, I think, $260 million by Banner for Academic Enhancement Fund, that particular avenue. Talk to us more about that.
So one of the things that we wanted to try to do is to stabilize the academic environment for a long period of time. Healthcare is a very unstable business these days, organizationally, and one of the things we were trying to achieve is not only to have facilities and a patient care organization that would be stable for a long period of time, but to have the medical schools have a long-term stability as well. And as part of the agreement, not only did we acquire the assets of the University of Arizona Health Network and agreed to invest a significant amount of money into facilities and facility replacement, but we also agreed to put additional funding into the medical school, both directly into the medical school, which relates to the $260 million fund you talked about, which will throw off $20 million a year that we will give to the medical school for the 30-year period of time. In addition, there's an additional $20 million a year that the Academic Management Council, which is made up by 3 people from U of A and 3 people from Banner, that will manage the whole training and academic relationship, and will have additional funds for recruitment purposes and the expansion of graduate medical education slots.
And the idea, again, of changing the face of academic and medicine research, the whole 9 yards in the Southwest, that's a pretty bold statement. This is a pretty big merger here. What face is changing and how?
Well, it is a bold statement, and it is a big merger. And it's unique and hasn't been done many times around the country. And our board, Banner's board, when they got into this, felt a strong commitment that, one, they had to do what is in their fiduciary responsibility for the organization that they're a board of, but on the other hand, see themselves as a significant community asset, and therefore, if we could use our community asset and use it in a way to help stabilize this very, very important asset in Arizona, being the medical schools, they felt that it was an obligation that they should take on.
I know that there were concerns by Access, the state Medicaid program. Banner didn't win the Access contract on its own. They ended up acquiring a group here that did. Respond to that, please.
Well, we had put a bid in partnership with Blue Cross in the last bid process for an Access contract in Maricopa County, which we did not win. Through this acquisition, one of the things that's owned by the University of Arizona Health Network is an Access insurance plan. That insurance plan is in 11 other counties, not in Maricopa County. So it really has no relationship to each other because our bid was for Maricopa County, and this acquisition of the plan is for other counties outside of Maricopa.
So the U of A is the family care plan, I think is
Yes.
what it's called. What you're saying is, but again, the Access folks did see a problem there with the integrity of the bidding process.
Well, it had nothing to do with the integrity of the bidding process because the two things were totally separate situations, not one related to the other. And obviously, they must have agreed to that concept because they did approve the acquisition.
Okay, so what's next now in this process? Are we going to start seeing different signage? Are we going to start seeing different references?
Right.
What's next?
The acquisition will close on February 27th. So at that point in time, Banner will assume control of those assets and the management of those facilities. We have teams of people that are already down there and involved in putting implementation plans together, both for how we're going to run the organization as part of Banner and how we're going to invest capital over the next few years as part of the requirement that we had in the contractual relationship. Signage will change, name badges will change, and all of that will occur as we assimilate the organization and its employees into the Banner Health environment.
And real quickly, before you go, for patients at Banner, with loved ones with patients that have loved ones at Banner as patients, will they see anything different? What changes?
Well, we hope a number of things different, as a matter of fact. One, we'll see facility changes as we invest capital into facilities that have not been able to be invested into for long periods of time. We also hope that we will see significantly improved outcomes and patient care outcomes as we apply some of Banner's principles to the whole process of patient care. So I think this is going to be very, very good for the populace that uses our facilities, and we'll have greater access as a result of that.
All right, very good. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, pleasure.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
Ernest McFarland served Arizona as governor, U.S. Senator, and Chief Justice of the state Supreme Court. A new memorial to McFarland will be dedicated on Arizona Statehood Day this Saturday at Wesley Bowen Memorial Plaza at the state capitol. Here now to talk about the memorial and the life of Ernest McFarland is his grandson, John D. Lewis, and the memorial's designer, Don Ryden of Ryden Architects. Good to have you both here. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Who was Ernest McFarland?
He was my grandfather.
Yes.
And being brought up with him as my grandfather, I really didn't understand the depth of it, but people would call him governor, senator, justice, but he always liked to be called Mac. And he was just a down-to-earth guy, and he was really a very hard worker. And he would get on a project, or he just wouldn't let go of it until he had some kind of resolution. And that's what he did as senator for Arizona. And as governor, he latched on to the water issues of the state, and he just took it and ran with it. And even if he fell down, he'd just get right back up and go at it again.
Before you started on this project, were you familiar with Ernest McFarland?
Oh, yes. To us children who grew up here in Phoenix, we'd probably see him most often in person in parades.
Yes.
And he was always in his cowboy outfit, and so he was kind of the cowboy judge that we knew him as in the 50s.
When you know someone from that long ago, and now you're charged with designing a memorial for that person, how does that creative process play out?
It's really quite interesting because we have to do so much research on it, and it's not just book learning, but it's also with the grandkids in the family. We got to be more personal with him. So my understanding of Mac as a man really blossomed and gave us something to interpret in the memorial.
Let's learn more about Mac as a man. What brought him out to Arizona? What kept him in Arizona?
He came out to Arizona, I believe, in 1919. He was in the United States Navy for World War I. And what happened was he got pneumonia. He almost died. And they gave him a medical discharge and everything. And that's back in those days. They said, well, go to Arizona. And that's what he did. He came out here, and like most all people, really liked it. He stayed here, he got involved. He came here with $10 in his pocket. He started working at a bank called Valley National Bank. But he was a teacher. He was trained to be a school teacher. And he kept on his education. He went to Stanford University, got his master's in political science, and of course his law degree. And then he started working as an assistant attorney general when Governor Hunt was a governor here way back when, and just kept in it and kept working in politics and became a senator. It was crazy when he first ran for the Senate seat, but he won, and he was a two-term U.S. Senator for Arizona, and in his Senate days he became as high as the Majority Leader.
And he was friends with Harry Truman, with LBJ in the Senate. I mean, those were his cohorts, weren't they?
Yes, he was very close with LBJ. And LBJ was right behind him as a minority leader. And when he was, well, not minority leader, but the whip. And then he, of course, took over when my grandfather lost to Barry Goldwater in 1952. He just came back to Arizona. LBJ took over and my grandfather's spot, and then he was governor, and he just kept up his fight and everything else.
And again, in the Senate, co-author, kind of the co-father of the GI Bill, which I want to get to in a second here. But we got the father of the GI Bill. We got a friend of LBJ and Harry Truman. We got a governor. We got a Supreme Court Chief Justice, United States, and all of these things. How do you make something of that?
We look for an interpretive thread that carries through the story of Mac that's relevant to everybody in America and Arizona. And so in our memorial, we try to find that. And the essence of it was, how did he relate to the American dream?
And we're looking right now at some shots of the memorial. Explain how this kind of shows us the American dream.
Well, the essence of this is about growth. We have this memorial immediately next to the Salute the Fallen memorial, the big guns from the battleships from World War II. And so that tells us about the sacrifice in wartime. Ours is a big spiral shape denoting growth. So it's the growth of peacetime. So it's two complementary pieces spanning the entire 20th century.
When you see this memorial and you think of your grandfather, putting two to two, does it make sense to you? Did you see your grandfather out there?
Yeah, my grandfather was the kind of guy that probably wouldn't want a memorial, but he got one. And yeah, I was just thinking this memorial that we just finished is one of the largest memorials for a single person that's there. There's only, what, 2 others down there?
Yeah, there's a couple more.
And when you add in all the offices that my grandfather had and a lot what he did, I think that justifies the real estate that he's occupying down there. So it's well deserved. A lot of other people, not just the family, would say that. And he was well loved and liked by a lot of people. And I can remember I was working with a group of students from the Arizona State Agribusiness College. And I took them to Yuma, Arizona, meeting with farmers. And this old farmer came up to me and he said, "Ernest McFarland, he's your grandfather?" And I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "You know, I'm a staunch Republican. But your grandfather, when he was in office, we got this done, we got that done." He didn't get his seaport built in Yuma, but he was always looking and looking to the future. That was Mac, and always thinking of what needs to be done today to build for tomorrow.
And there's just so much to talk to. I mean, he became owner of KTVK-TV.
He started it. He was the founder.
And was he the one who gave, because I've always thought those call letters were quite imaginative, KTVK-TV. Did he come up with that?
Yeah, he did.
I bet he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
As far as, again, designing this, when you, as an architect, obviously this is not new to you, new to me, the idea of thinking, drawing, building, having. I mean, are there any surprises along the way?
There's a surprise every day, and that's what makes it so much fun to do what we do. Whether it's in the materials or whether it's in the procedure and getting this memorial built on state property as a gift to the people of Arizona, there's always some kind of a thing that comes up that surprises you. But you know, for every single challenge that we came up against, it all turned out for the better. And the memorial is all the greater and grander for that. And I think it really points to the spirit of Mac and the way he just can't give up. And John's the same way. He just wouldn't give up on any of this.
Yeah, talk to us about the effort to get this done.
Boy, we had an old memorial there already, and that had fallen into disrepair. And my mother passed away in 2003, and my father is not as active anymore. And so there was a little bit of a lag there till my brothers and sisters and I got together. And finally, you know, they elected me, and I went and contacted the state and said, "All right, here I am. What can we do here?" And they said, "What do you want to do? Give us, you know, solutions." And so we got Don, and we have a historian we've been working closely with for the McFarland State Park, which is down in Florence. And we just started from scratch and decided, you know, we first asked Don, can we save any pieces of this? And the answer was, yeah, maybe. And then they brought in, Ken Bennett brought in the big guns there, and it changed the whole landscape. the Salute to the Fallen Memorial, and then we had to redesign again. And it was a much different process this time. We had to get approval from the Legislative Mall Committee. We had to work with the Arizona Department of Administration. We had to take all of our information that we were going to post down there about my grandfather, and that all had to be vetted through AHAC, Arizona Historical Advisory Committee. And it was a lot of different departments of the state to go through, a lot of sweat, a lot of things got kicked back to us, but as it all went through pretty well. And the thing about my grandfather is he did so much. It was really, I learned a lot more that I never knew about him, but he did so much, we had to edit. We couldn't put it all on.
Yeah.
So we had to start a website, ewmcfarland.org, and put the rest of the story on there. So the main points will be here at the memorial.
Okay, we only got a minute or so left, a couple minutes left here. When people go out to watch, to look, to attend, just to take this all in, what do you want them to see?
I think that I would most want them to see a reflection of themselves in the light shown by Mac. The whole place, as we designed it, my son Eric and I designed this to be half about Mac, but also an inspiration to the visitor to see how they too could make a difference. And so there's something special here. There's a challenge to the people that come and see this thing as they walk through that archway.
So
There's a surprise here.
There is
There is a surprise in the design.
Interesting. Surprise for you in the design?
I'm just glad it's done and it looks great, and I think my family is going to be very pleased, and hopefully the state and all the visitors that go there will go there and learn something about Arizona, learn something about Mac, and be commemorative to Mac, and be inspired.
And again, if you go to this memorial and you see this, what do you, I mean, be inspired is one thing, but what do you want them to know about your grandfather? I mean, we've talked a lot about him, but there's even more. I mean, the losing to Goldwater, coming back and still being the governor, still being the state Supreme Court justice, wrote the Miranda ruling, which didn't quite hold up in the Supreme. I mean, he's all over the place.
Yeah, he is. I would like for them to go and find a piece of themselves in my grandfather. For example, my grandfather, he was elected Pinal County Superior Court judge. He met his first wife, started a family, and right in 1930, they all died from disease.
I read that.
And he got right back up, came back, married my grandmother, and adopted my mother, and off he went. And he just, like I said, he never gave up. He just kept going. And that happens to a lot of people where we're kicked down. And it's not that you get kicked down, it's how you get back up.
Three kids died, wife died young. I mean, that's serious stuff back in those days, that wasn't necessarily all that uncommon, was it?
Yeah, and that was all during the Depression.
All right, now we got just about a minute left here. So, and I want something a little off McFarland, but just in the concept of memorials. What is a good memorial?
A good memorial is a place that has a sense of relevance to you as a person. That you just don't go look at a big stone with a plaque on it and go, yeah, okay, next. But something that touches you, something that challenges you, and find something that is a thread in your life, and in this case, it's how the American dream is left. It's not you reaching your dream, but leaving the legacy to others on the way to your dream.
All right.
That we're talking about.
We're going to look forward to checking that out. Congratulations on a great work.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on your grandfather having a great life.
Thank you. Thank you.
Friday on Arizona Horizon, it's a Journalists Roundtable. We'll have much more on the public fight between the governor and the schools chief, and we'll look at why the governor replaced the director of the Department of Child Safety. That's Friday on the Journalists Roundtable. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.